So let's talk about my system here. Again, I call it the pull the trigger transformation system. What I like about pulling the trigger is I'm not a guns advocate. You know, Elena Cardone, I'll leave her with the guns. She likes to shoot guns. I don't mind shooting guns, but with pull the trigger, I'm trying to get you to do something. And the reason I like that analogy is because it takes a little small movement of your finger to release a lot of energy that's going to go somewhere. Maybe it's just shooting a bullet. Maybe it's shooting you into the future. But to do that, you need to go through 9 steps, and I want to walk you through these today. So let me slide over to this side here. This is my pull the trigger transformation system. To accomplish anything great in your life, you really need to go through these 9 steps. I'm going to walk you through them now. And then I'm going to show you examples from my own life where I made this happen. All right, so let's talk about this. All pulling the trigger, all great goals, all great accomplishments, whether it's books or conquests or businesses or anything in history, all started with what I call idea inception, right? We've seen that movie Inception with DiCaprio, right? And he says, you know, getting that thought in someone's mind, once it's there, it's hard to remove it. And I remember when I first thought to myself, wow, I could start London Real. Wow, I could turn it into a multi-million-dollar business. Wow, I could run an Ironman race. I could be a father. All of that was that idea inception where I just thought for one brief moment, wow, there's something I can do. There's something out there in the future that can happen. You've all had this idea many times in your life about things you wanted to do in school, about things you wanted to do with your job, places you wanted to travel, romantic relationships, anything all started with the idea inception. So that's why I'm always trying to get lots of ideas in my head. I'm reading books, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm talking to people here in the studio because London Real is one big idea inception generator. That's what we do here, right? I'm constantly putting ideas in your head from Dorian Yates, from Ida Portal, from Gabor Mate, from the Cardones. I'm trying to get that noggin thinking so we can start this process of transformation. Because that's what it's all about, folks. If you're not transforming on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, what the hell are you doing with your life? You're wasting time. And it's honestly, it's a disservice to just being a human. You need to be here, you need to be taking action and contributing. So that's what this is all about. So idea inception is important. Constantly get new ideas in your head. Now, what doesn't help you with ideas? Watching the news doesn't help you with ideas. Watching a movie on Netflix doesn't help you with ideas. Watching me breakdance on Instagram doesn't really help you with ideas unless it gets you motivated to move. I'm talking about getting creative ideas that can help you take your life to the next level. How can you get those in your head? It doesn't happen down at the pub usually. It doesn't happen on Netflix. It doesn't happen when you're reading the news. It doesn't happen with a lot of nonsense. You got to be consuming the right content. Of course, I recommend London Real and a lot of other things to get the idea. Okay, you've got the idea inception. So boom, in my head, I'm like, wait, I could leave my job in banking and start London Real. That sounds really cool. What's next? I have to visualize the future. Well, what would my future look like with London Real? I was thinking, wow, I was inspired by Joe Rogan. I was like, I could have cool people come over to my house and have these great conversations. I could make new friends. I could learn. I could travel the world. I started visualizing my future based on that idea. Really important that you kind of look at what your life could be. I was visualizing my future crossing that Ironman finish line thinking, wow, I just did something that I used to watch on TV when I was a kid, that these superhumans did in Hawaii. I'm now one of those people. Wow. Or when I turned London Real into a business, I was like, wow, this thing makes money. I can build this. I can make this my primary mission in life. Wow, that's visualizing the future. So again, very important. Next step, get the idea, visualize the future. Now comes part 3. And if you're coming late here, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, type in what city you're from and tell me what is the one thing that you want to pull the trigger on in 2019. What's the goal you want to accomplish? What's that challenge that you want to finally get sorted in your life? Again, could be your health or your wealth, your love, your relationships, your impact on the world, something financial, whatever. Type that in right now because I want to come back to you shortly. Let's continue on this, all right? And I'm going fast. There'll be a whole book to walk you through this in the next few months, all right? Next, find a mentor. This is a really important point. A lot of people forget about this. If you think about the great things you've done in your life, there was always a mentor there. And it could have been a high school teacher. It could have been a parent, an aunt, or an uncle. It could have been someone like Bruce Lee, right? And you're like, Brian, how can he be a mentor? He's dead. But he can mentor you through his books, through his teachings, through his videos, through him as an icon. He can help push you through those hard times. So a lot of times it can be someone virtual, someone dead that's written a book. It helps to have a real live mentor. but you can always get by with someone who's virtual or someone in the past. But you really need someone that you can align your value system with. So again, find the mentor. Whatever you do, find someone out there. Ideally, it's someone that's real and live and you can have live interactions with, okay? Very important. Next, you have to pay price to action. What does that mean, Brian? This is so important and most people don't do this. You must pay a price to action, which means this. You must sacrifice something that's of value to you in order to trade that for something that you want, right? Very important concept here. So if you want that brand new body, if you want that 75 kilograms of chiseled muscle to be looking at you in the mirror, well, guess what? It doesn't come for free. Why doesn't it come for free? Because if it did, you would already have it and you wouldn't want it. It's something that's hard to get. You have to pay a price to action, which means you're going to have to physically pay for a gym membership, maybe for a personal trainer. You're going to have to pay in your time by showing up every day at the gym. You're going to have to pay in your pain threshold, in fighting the urge to quit. That's all a pay price to action. In my courses inside the London Real Academy, I ask for you to invest your time and a chunk of your money. And let me tell you something, the more money I charge my students, the better results I get. Because the pay price to action is higher, which means when the going gets tough, they push through because they've put something of value on the line. Really important here. So if you're not paying a price to action to actually transform yourself, I'll argue you're never going to get there. If you're not really putting something on the line that you're sacrificing to get you to the next level, you're never going to get there because when the going gets tough and the dog eats your homework and it rains outside and your boss is a jerk, all these are excuses, you're going to quit on your goal. That's why you have to pay the price to action, and that's why in my courses it means a substantial amount of money, and I'm asking for your time as well. That way, I'm willing to put my time into you. No mentor I know, no system I know is going to do it for free. The people of value require you to pay a price to action. So I'll go into more of this later, but what is your pay price to action? It could be money, a time, it could be commitment, it could be a sacrifice. Whatever it is, it's really important. Let's continue. Next, you have to have a game plan. I've never heard of anything being accomplished without a game plan. That means a recipe. That means some type of a success path. I must do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. For me, setting up London Real, turning this into a multi-million-dollar business, doing my Ironman race, what do you think? Of course I had a game plan, massive game plan, right? I had to learn how to swim. I had to buy a bike. I had to find a trainer. I had to eat only vegetables. I mean, it was a big game plan there. You must have a game plan. If you don't have a game plan, you'll never get there. And if it doesn't require a game plan, then it's not a transformation. So remember, make sure you have this part. All right, we're cruising over to the other side here. Next, we have to take action. A lot of people out there walk around in a dream state. Oh yeah, I'm dreaming one day I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Unless you literally take the action and move on that next action step forward, nothing's going to happen. For me, this meant hiring an Ironman coach. This meant going to the bike shop and purchasing the bike. This meant going on the website and paying the money for my Ironman slot for the race. For London Real Studios, that meant buying the microphones, setting up the page on YouTube. For building the $1 million business, that meant creating courses, getting out of my comfort zone, creating videos, creating marketing materials, going out there and teaching. It's all about taking action. You must take action. Nothing's going to happen. I hate hearing people talk about their plans. You'll rarely hear me talk about something I'm going to do. What I do is I do it, and then I talk about it afterwards. Very important. All right? And it continues. The next step is you must be held accountable. This is a huge thing that's missing in most people's lives. They talk about their goal, they find a mentor, and then they're never held accountable to do the work. If you don't have someone whose opinion you care about to come back and say, you didn't do that, it's not good enough, it's not working, you will never accomplish your goal and transform. And on London Real, I was accountable to you because I said I'm publishing an episode every week. If I failed, I would have failed you. And I didn't want to look bad in front of you. I didn't want to let you down, and it made me do it. When it came to creating the business, I had Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, sending me emails in all red capital text. And he was being a jerk. And so I had to do things. And he pushed me out of my comfort zone. And for the Ironman as well, I didn't want to let down John Joseph, my trainers, and I was making a movie about it. All of you were supporting me. I didn't want to let you down as well. Without being held accountable, nothing is accomplished in life. Look at the university. You have to get grades. You have to put work in. You're held accountable. Look at the great jobs you have and the performance you had. Guess what? You had to show up because the boss was watching. Everything in life that we have done, that we value, we've been held accountable. In my academy, There is a whole documented process called the accountability doc where you have to submit things every single week. And my team leaders and I watch you, and if you don't do it, I literally call you out in front of the group. And I said, what's wrong with you this week? What makes you special that you don't have to do the work? And it makes people do things and it gets results. Very important, all right? Next step is fighting resistance. And this is something I talked about in my TED Talk. It's a concept by Stephen Pressfield. He wrote a book called The War of Art. And resistance is anything that gets in our way when we go to accomplish a goal. And the thing about resistance is it's directly proportional to the size of the goal you're trying to accomplish. So say this year you want to write a book. You want to make $100,000 with your business. You want to learn how to publicly speak. Right now I'm teaching people in my Broadcast Yourself course. They're doing 8 episodes on iTunes of their own podcast. Some of them have already done 15 episodes actually. Say you want to get your life in order. I'm teaching my Life Accelerator right now. They all have to fight resistance because everything around you will stop you from doing your goal. And the bigger the goal, the bigger the resistance. And that can come in many forms. It can mean your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or boyfriend says, oh, you know that's never going to work. It can mean that when I'm going to breakdancing practice, I fall down and I hurt my leg and I come up with excuses where I can't train. It can mean that the economy goes bad and I use that as an excuse. It can mean Donald Trump. It can mean it's raining outside. There's resistance everywhere. But guess what? The biggest source of resistance comes from your own brain, right? We're in fear of failure. We're in fear of success. We're constantly striving for perfection, which is basically procrastination in disguise. We're constantly running a dialogue in our head that makes us play small and makes us defeat our own actions. You must fight resistance constantly. You must constantly tell your brain that you will be successful, you will push through, and you must be around an accountability group that pushes you through as well. And finally, a lot of times people forget this last step. You must accomplish the goal. I don't care if you have a goal and you never accomplished it, because then you just wasted my time talking to me about it. I crossed the line at Ironman, and if I hadn't crossed the line, it wouldn't have been accomplished, right? It was really important that I got across that line, because everything else up until then, well, it's all just a bunch of talk unless you actually accomplish that goal. So no matter what it takes, you get across the finish line. And I remember I promised myself 24 hours before that race, I said this, I am crossing that finish line no matter what. I don't care if I have to stay in Chattanooga, Tennessee for 2 months and crawl across with my bloody stumps, but I'm gonna cross the finish line. So for me, it was just a matter of how long it's gonna take me. Now, I happened to do it in 5 hours and 51 minutes, but I would have spent 5 days doing it. They could have closed the whole thing down, but I would have gotten across the finish line. Accomplish your goal no matter what, and stay to it, and you're always going to get there. So again, this is my system. I call it Pull the Trigger Transformation System. If you want to transform this year, you're going to need all of these 9 steps. The basic 3 you need are this. You need to find a mentor, you need to create the game plan, and you need to be held accountable. Those are the basic 3 that you need. But all 9 ensure that you're really going to get things done. And the reason I know about this is because this is the system that I teach inside my academy. I've graduated over 3,000 students. They've started businesses, learned to publicly speak. People right now, I've got 120 people around the world that are starting their own podcast. There's a lot of resistance there, a lot of fear. They have to interview guests live. It's pretty crazy. They're pushing through. And of course, last night I kicked off our Life Accelerator course. I'm walking people through a lot of really basic habits like diet, movement, fitness, goal setting, procrastination, affirmations, gratitude, meditation, low media diet, sleep enhancement, everything. So this is the process to get there.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.